Staying on with the continuous coverage of the Ukraine-Russia war. Russia and Ukraine war has been escalating with no end in sight. Kyiv has declared that counteroffensive has begun and Moscow is not willing to back down. The cost of this war is rising day by day. So one question on everyone's mind right now is that when is the war going to end? When will peace arrive? Several countries from China to Denmark have tried to initiate the peace process. One country that has now thrown its hat in the peace ring is South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa briefed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the African leader's peace mission. He also informed his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping about the same. A 6-member African delegation will visit the conflict-ridden countries this month. It will include the leaders from Republic of Congo, Egypt, Senegal, South Africa, Uganda and Namibia. Remember, the African countries are battling rising prices of grain since Russia invaded Ukraine. Denmark earlier said that it would like to host a Ukraine Peace Summit in the month of July, but it emphasized on the need of engagement from countries like India, Brazil and even China. Earlier in the month of May, the Chinese-Ukrainian envoy visited European countries in a bid to bring peace. Its envoy met with the officials in Ukraine, Poland, France, Germany and Brussels. He appealed other governments to stop sending weapons to the battlefield and hold peace talks. Listen.
China believes that if we really want to put an end to the war, to save lives and realize peace, it is important for us to stop sending weapons to the battlefield, or else the tensions will only keep spiraling up.
Beijing had also proposed a peace plan in February, but the Western powers insisted that Moscow must withdraw the Russian forces from Ukraine. So the question again being, when and at what cost will peace come? One does not know. But certainly a major part of it depends on the man sitting in the Oval Office. Ukraine has become the top recipient of US foreign aid since February 2022. The United States of America has directed more than $75 billion in assistance to Ukraine so far. For more on this, we're now being joined by Professor James D.J. Brown, who is joining us live from Tokyo. Welcome to the show, Professor.
Thank you.
Right. Now, Professor, after China's 12-point peace plan, South Africa has now come up with an African leaders' peace mission with an aim to end the ongoing war in Ukraine. We all know that South Africa is not the first nation to do so. Do you think it will be successful when other nations have clearly failed?
Well, I think, first of all attempts to mediate an end to this conflict are welcome. But I'm afraid I have to be rather pessimistic about the chances of this South African approach, given the fact that South Africa, despite presenting itself as neutral in the conflict, is seen by many as being more supportive of the Russian side, of being accused of supplying weaponry to Russia, and also with continued cooperation with Russia through the BRICS group. So unfortunately, since South Africa, I think, will struggle to convince Ukraine that it's really a neutral party, the chances of this peace proposal being successful are rather slim.
Right, Professor. Also to clarify, Putin is adamant on not letting go of the regions that the Kremlin has captured. But Zelensky says that Russia must leave the areas that have been captured so far. So the pertinent question being that what is that South Africa can offer in terms of peace talks?
Well, exactly. You've hit exactly on the main point here, that the reason why the Chinese peace proposal was unsuccessful is because it did not call for a withdrawal of Russian forces. We have to remember this is not the case of Ukraine and Russia being equally responsible here. Russia invaded Ukraine. It is occupying Russian sovereign territory. So a basic starting point from the Ukrainian point of view is that if peace talks are going to be successful, they have to include a call for Russian forces to withdraw from Ukrainian territory and for Ukrainian territorial integrity to be restored. So if the African proposal does not include that call, then unfortunately this peace proposal is not going to go anywhere.
Right, Professor. Let's also talk about how Africa has also been hit hard by the increase in cereal prices because of the ongoing war in Ukraine. So how much of this is trying to find a peace solution and how much of it is about protecting the African nations' interests?
I think it's both. Those things are not inconsistent. The African countries, I'm sure, would like to see peace for the security of the region, but also they have their own interests in mind, and that's absolutely fine. African countries rely on grain supplies from both Russia and Ukraine. With those food supplies being restricted, that means higher prices. That means many people will struggle to get the food that they require. So I think both things are involved here. And I think perhaps the most useful thing that could come out of this proposal from the African countries is actually if they concentrate on that food security issue. If they recognize that it's just too difficult for them to broker a peace agreement, at least if they can find agreement between Ukraine and Russia to maintain food supplies, food shipments during the conflict, that would be a beneficial step that could be made.
Right, Professor, we'll obviously have to wait and see how South Africa's peace plan pans out. But thank you so much for joining us in WION and sharing your insights with us on this. Thanks very much.